Hi everyone, Kelly Bear here. Welcome to my channel. Today I am with you for a sort of a combination video. It's a sort of January faves thing, January recap review, whatever you want to call it. But also I'm going to be sharing my birthday goodies because I have my birthday in January. That's the month I was born, and yeah, it was last week, and I had a lovely couple of days. And I got to go to a really cool exhibition. I had a really beautiful cake made by that my spouse ordered from a friend of mine who is a vegan baker. I will see if I can remember to post a picture of it here because it is like the goth girl cake of my dreams. Yeah, so I'm just going to start with the birthday goodies, then go on to the decks and the books from January, and depending on how long this video goes, I don't know if I'll skip sort of the less sort of tarot-y, booky related things. You know, like sometimes I'll do films, podcasts, that kind of thing. I'll just see how it goes, because I do think this is going to be a long one anyway, so do strap in. Buckle your seatbelt. Keep your hands inside the vehicle. Let's go. So yes, of course I have to have a mug of tea to keep me going. I will be looking down at my notes that I've got on my phone, but you know, even when I have notes, even if they're digital or paper, 9 times out of 10 I usually miss at least something off of them, either when writing them or when referring to them, because my brain. So I'm going to get started straight away with birthday things, as I said. So I got 2 decks and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. Technically 8 books because my mum's bought me 3 non-fiction books, but I haven't seen her yet since my birthday last week, so she said she'll bring those over to me when she's got the time to drive over. And then I bought 1 book for myself, and I'll show you why. So the first deck I got was a present from my spouse, and it's the Gilded Reverie Lenormand by Ciro Marchetti. This is the only Ciro Marchetti deck that I now own. Or I say now own because it makes it sound like I had some and I got rid of them. I didn't. I just mean this is the only Ciro Marchetti deck that I own, and probably will only ever be, depending on his future releases. But I'm not a massive fan of his art style for his tarot decks, and I know that his decks are wildly popular. You know, it's just not my particular style, and this is less, it feels, I can tell it's Ciro Marchetti, but it's less like a lot of his tarot decks, if that makes sense. It's very glossy. This is the expanded edition. Comes with a fairly chunky little book. And I kind of was annoyed with myself for wanting this deck. It's one of those decks where I was like, no, really not my bag. And then I saw a few walkthroughs of it and I was like, oh, I don't know. And some like Lenormand readers that I really admire work with it. And it was the same thing with what happened with the Tarot Illuminati by Eric C. Dunn, where I ended up seeing this in real life, seeing a copy in a store, and I was like, oh damn it, it's kind of growing on me. That's what happened with the Tarot Illuminati, and I ended up not being able to stop thinking about it. And I always joke that deck is visual vomit, like it includes everything, including the kitchen sink. And this is less busy than that, and I feel like this would actually read really nicely with the Tarot Illuminati. They feel like cousins. But actually, considering this has like quite a lot going on still in the cards, I think they look like they're going to be quite clear to read with. I'm not a fan of overly busy Lenormand decks that don't make it clear what card you're looking at quite quickly, because if you are doing, you know, a grand tableau, it gets very, it's a lot to be looking at. It's very busy. But this is very, very clear. Some of these cards do actually make me giggle. I genuinely absolutely love the owl card. I feel like I sort of like this deck slightly in an ironic way. I love that this kid looks like they're just over your shirt. Look at that face. It's such a bitch please face. Bitch please. You know, the fox is lovely. I mean, it is a beautiful deck. It's just not necessarily my go-to style, you know. Some people might even be surprised seeing me share this, and it's probably why I didn't buy it myself. It's why I asked for it, and if it turned, I, you know, put it on my wish list, and if it turns up, it turns up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I do love that we have a polar bear for the bear card. Obviously, I love the bear card. So yeah, the dog's really cute. Has sort of a realistic element to it in some of the cards more than others. The card, it does give 2 women and 2 men cards, which still obviously is a little tricky when you're maybe reading for non-binary and genderqueer folks. But the man and woman cards do crack me up, because you have like your man card, and it's very, he's sitting there in his like white shirt, he's got a rose, he's sitting on a high chair, I don't know, but the very sort of Lothario type, I don't know, but I kind of love how cheesy it is. It's very like steamy, erotica-esque, you know. Come on, camera. So we have the woman card. She's already got a bit of sauce going on, because she's got, it looks like she's just draped in a shawl, and she's got her shoulder bare. So she's already a little sassy and saucy. Content warning for boobies. There are boobies coming up. And then the woman with her baps out. I mean, equal ops, right? Because the dude's got his baps out, so. But it's just, I don't know, but it's kind of funny, but I kind of love it. So anyway, it is, yes, of course, an unbelievably sort of, there's only, what, 3 people in it, and they're all white, you know, and they're all very, like, conventionally beautiful. But I understand, I knew what I was getting into when I asked for this deck, and I actually do think it's quite lovely. I take it for what it is, and I'm genuinely looking forward to reading with this, and reading the little book that comes with it, because I do think it's going to be quite good. So yeah, it says, oh sorry, I should show you, it's an expanded edition, so let's just, cause I'm not going to do a walkthrough of this deck because it's been out for blimping ages. So there's the cross. So the extra cards I'll just show you appear to be a clock. I don't know if it's clock or time. We have a bridge. Again, I've not actually looked in the book, and it's been a long time since I've watched a walkthrough of this. There's some dice, which I really like because I play tabletop RPGs and I have lots of dice. We have some kind of gateway or mask, or maybe it's meant to be comedy and tragedy. I don't know what's going on there. That feels very Ciro Marchetti, that one, doesn't it, with the mask? I always think of like there's lots of sort of carnival-esque type vibes going on with Ciro Marchetti's work. We have a well. Well, actually, we have a compass, which sometimes some people that create decks, Lenormand decks, actually use a compass for the stars. The Lilac Lenormand is one that comes to mind. We have a maze. It's either a maze or a labyrinth. It's hard to tell from this. I'd need to see it from above to be able to tell which one it is. And we have a magnifying glass. It's a very pretty magnifying glass. It's nicer than my plain bog standard plastic one. I'd love to get like a nice brass or pewter magnifying glass, because that plastic one's not pretty, but it does the job. Because my eyes are not great, let me tell you, I really need an eye test. Okay, so that was from my spouse. The other deck that I got, because I got 2 decks, was from Simon at the Hermit's Cave. And do you know what, it's so funny, because I was like, oh, you took a punt on this deck, because I don't remember mentioning it to him. But he remembered a conversation that we had that I had not remembered, because my memory is so bad these days. I can't retain information. It's really, really bad. And once he mentioned the conversation, it then came back to me. But I was like, oh yeah. So it's the Inner Eye Oracle by Stephen Bright. And I was talking to Simon about Kelly Fitzgerald at the Truth in Stories walkthrough of this deck. And then I think I watched Simon's walkthrough of it as well, and I was like, this is intriguing. I'm intrigued by it. So it's got a really cool sort of Victoriana style vibe back there. It's got red edges. It's quite thick actually, but it's a playing card style oracle. I have not I was saving these all aside to show for this video, so I've not, started working with any of these yet. So yeah, I don't know because I don't read with playing cards. So I don't know what if this sticks to a specific system or if it's a new system. But I know that Stephen created it because he wanted to help make playing card reading a bit more sort of accessible and easy for people. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So that's 2 Oracle deck thingies. And then I got a bunch of books. Like I said, there's 3 more books that I'm expecting to receive, which are fiction, but all of these books are non-fiction. So from my aunt, where's that other one? My aunt, there it is. My aunt sent me these 2 books. She sent me the Forager's Calendar, which I've wanted for a while. I would have loved the hardback version, but for some reason it's now very, very expensive. But essentially it is a calendar. It's a Britain based, and it goes through each month by month what is in season for foraging, and this will be I won't be foraging the mushrooms because I don't do mushrooms, I don't do fungi, but it's got loads of other stuff. It's got color photos in. It's really chunky, and it's the reason I wanted this is I find with some of the like field guides that I have that I can take with me to my local marshes or wetlands or what have you, they are listed in alphabetical order, sometimes by the colloquial name, sometimes by the Latin name. The problem is, if I can't remember what I'm looking at, then it makes it harder to find. I have downloaded an app called Leaf Snap, which I'm finding is really handy because I'm really struggling to retain information, and I can't recall a lot of the herbalism information that I have previously learned. Is very, very frustrating. It's a real issue. So having Leaf apps helping, and so if I'm identifying stuff via Leaf app, I can then look it up in the book because I know what I'm looking at. But this one I like is because I'll be like looking at, right, so we're in February now, literally opened it in February, what is in season? So we've got bittercress, scarlet elf cup, the 3-cornered leek, winter laver, black mustard, common sorrel, cowslip and primrose, dandelion roots, garlic mustard, oak moss, pig nut, just about visible now it says in brackets, wild garlic, all that kind of thing. So it's really, and then you've got pictures of each thing. So I think this is going to be handy, along with the I've got a really wee pocket version of an identifying book as well. So these will be like in my bag when I'm out in the green spaces and looking for some bits and bobs. The other book that my aunt got me was Your Tarot Toolkit, not to be confused with Tom Benjamin's book. This is a book for beginners, and this is published by Llewellyn. Tom Benjamin's book has the same name, came out before this book, and is independently published. I think he shopped it to some publishers, and I don't know if he shopped it to Llewellyn, but it looks like they decided to go with a book called Your Tarot Toolkit anyway. But Tom Benjamin's book, which I do really recommend, is for intermediate readers. It's not for beginners, so it's taking you that step further because there's a real dearth of any kind of intermediate to advanced books when it comes to tarot. Same for witchcraft, because when it comes to witchcraft you're more sort of looking at specializations rather than witchcraft overall. You're probably looking at herbalism, or you're looking at tarot, or you're looking at a certain kind of magic. Maybe you're looking at sigil making, so it gets more specified. But tarot's tarot. So this is a beginner's book, and I liked this is written by a non-binary and disabled author, so it's good to see that we are having marginalized groups writing being picked up. Alongside the decks, we're seeing inclusion in the decks, but also decks being created by marginalized groups and people of color and so on and so forth, being picked up by mass market publishers a bit more. I do think we can still do better, but we're also seeing that in the books as well now, rather than just the same old names we see over and over again. So that's good. So I do think this will be a good book, but not to be confused with Tom Benjamin's. So those were the 2 books that my aunt sent me. I then have a book that Simon, again at the Hermit's Cave, he got me the deck and he got me the Witch's Compass. This is a book basically about traditional witchcraft, and I've heard a lot of people talking about this and saying good things, and there's a few sort of trad witch and folk witch books that I have on my wish list that I'd like to get through this year. It's funny, right, because I end up reading them and then I just go straight back to like Six Ways and Changeling by Aidan Walter because that's sort of like now where I've rebuilt my foundation from a few years ago. But I'm enjoying pulling in little bits of trad and folk witchcraft practices in as I go, just sort of by osmosis and just sort of playing around with stuff. So this is fun. And then my spouse also got me, as well as the deck and the amazing cake and all the other lovely, like the days out and stuff that we did, got me a book that I've wanted since I saw it was going to be a thing, and it's Radical Tarot by Charlie Claire Burgess. This came out in September, but I had been eagerly awaiting it all last year pretty much, and the reason being is that the guidebook that comes with the Fifth Spirit Tarot is constantly next to my tarot altar, my tarot trolley, because I refer to it all the time. I really love the way that Burgess writes about the tarot, and takes like a completely sort of non-gendered sort of open way of reading it, and so this I think is going to be expanding on those ideas further, and I hear only good things about this, so it's been on my wish list since September, so I was hoping it was going to turn up for my birthday, because it didn't at Christmas, and it did. And the other one is by the podcasters. They create the Missing Witches podcast, which I've been speaking about on this channel for years. They don't do as many Missing Witches episodes actually anymore. They do more like Witches Found and some other bits and bobs, and I did really enjoy it when they would talk about witches of the past that were missing, or women of the occult that we might not have heard of, and I like their episode on like Zora Neale Hurston I really enjoyed. They did a really great episode about Blavatsky. Was it Blavatsky? And in might have been Blavatsky, or am I thinking? No, it was might be Z Budapest, and how she sort of was a trailblazer but is now sort of kind of problematic because of sort of some transphobic stuff, and like, you know, Blavatsky, but there's that sort of inherent like racism and things like that. So it doesn't like take a it doesn't go, all these women are from the past and they're amazing. It really does actually take them as whole people, and warts and all, and I enjoy that. But they have a previous book called Missing Witches, which I haven't read. But this one was their second book. They have a deck coming out, I believe, called Missing Witches as well. I've had this on my list for a while, and I bumped it further up my list after hearing Tom Benjamin wax lyrical about it on his channel, and I was just like, right, okay, this is I need to get this. I do have another book which is Magic for the Resistance. I think it's called Magic for the Resistance by John Michael Hughes as well. And then there was a book that I bought for myself, which is Embroidered Boxes. This was literally like £2.50 second hand. It's quite a skinny little book, and it's just about creating fabric, like textile boxes. And the reason is I started making a textile box, and I was like, I don't know, I want some advice on like construction. I don't know if I'm going about this the right way. There's no real right way. It's textile art, right? Like, do what you want, have a play. But there's a couple of other like old like 90s and early noughties books that I might pick up around this kind of thing as well. So I picked that up for myself. And then my mother-in-law got me this lovely journal, which is sort of covered in sari fabric and has that, so it's all like bound in, hand bound, and has that like rough pressed paper, which is not great for like fountain paper or fountain pens or any kind of markers or anything, but you can sort of use a biro in. So that's a lovely little journal. Love a journal. Not journals and notebooks, love them. Okay, so that was my my birthday goodies. I also picked up a deck for myself with Christmas and birthday money combined, and I've got another one on the way next week, but because it hasn't arrived yet, I'll have to talk about that next month. Okay, so now we've been through the birthday bits and bobs. We're now going to get to the decks and the books that I worked with / read during January. So the first two decks that I worked with for the first week of January was a continuation of a combination that I had, sorry, that I've been using through December, which was the Ciccoli Tarot by Nicoletta Ciccoli, published by Lo Scarabeo. I've trimmed mine to make it like this cool, like long, skinny billy thing, and it's I made the sides red to match the berries in the back. I actually really love it trimmed like this. I really love it. So this deck I used for a chunk of December, and I was pairing it, which I was surprised how well they paired, with the Literary Witches Oracle. So here I have a stack of the item cards. There's two parts to this deck for those of you that might not have seen that before. There's two parts. There's the writers, which includes novelists and poets and essay writers and all sorts. And then we've got the items that would be like items that are related to the authors, either as themselves or maybe in their stories. So I will show you some combos just as an example, and for some reason this just worked really nicely. I don't know if it was like because the art styles are very different, right? But I don't know, the color tones really work together quite well. So let's do another combo for you guys. And they just really spoke. They really spoke together. It was, yeah, it was a real pleasant surprise. And so I did use this for a chunk of December and loved it so much I continued it into the first week of January. Oh, here we got some interesting. Yeah, because there's this element of like. Katie Horan's artwork. Katie Horan did the artwork for the Literary Witches deck and book. I follow her on Instagram. I really enjoy her artwork just overall. It has a sort of like unnerving and slightly sinister undercurrent to it, undertone to it, and obviously I find that the Ciccoli does as well. I mean, that alone, look at that poor lollipop. So I feel like because of these, like you've got these grey and beige tones with muted colours, it just really works. And just also just generally they just read the language of them, they just speak together really nicely, they communicate well. So that was a really great combination that I used. And then once we got into the second week of January, or the second week of January? I think it was maybe before this end of the first week of January. It doesn't really matter. Either way, you don't care. You just want to know what to work with. Is the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot, which my mum got me. It was one of my Christmas presents from my mum. Oh, spell it. Nearly good paste letter 78 card pickup. Whoa. Okay. Wow. This deck. In love. Just in love. I have the mass market version, obviously. It's, oh no, oh, I cannot even. I have a friend who's learning tarot and they are massively into Mucha and Art Nouveau, just generally artwork. They're even getting like a whole like Mucha-esque tattoo sleeve done this year, from what I remember, if I'm remembering correctly. And I had to send them this deck and be like, hey, have you seen this deck, because I think you would love it? And they were like, I had not seen it, and yes, you are right, I do love it. So I think they're looking to pick a copy of this up, which makes me happy. But I was really enjoying working with the Literary Witches Oracle, and so I was then combining these three decks together as well, and they again work so beautifully. So let me show you. We've got the tarot card. We've already had that one. We've already done show some different ones. There we go. Let's do different. So we have Alejandra Pizarnik. We have the star. And we have the spider. And I think the reason this works, can you see, like, even with the writer card and the tarot card, there's like the similar blues, but then the creamy colour of this matches the creamy tones of the background of the Fyodor Pavlov tarot. It's not on a white background, it's on a cream. So this, I'm just going to show you this one because otherwise I'll be here all day showing you all the different combos. But yeah, it works really, really nicely. So and they communicated really well together. I was getting really juicy and yummy like readings with them together. So yes, I'm really enjoying the little hardback book. Okay, my neighbours decided to start hammering something. I'm going to have to pause. He might have stopped, but I'm worried he's going to now start drilling, but who knows. So yeah, what I was saying was I'm really enjoying the book that comes with this, and I like that it's like a little like sturdy hardback. Nom nom nom. The packaging, the whole thing, the production quality of this is extremely high, which is why it's probably so spendy for a mass market deck. So yeah, and then there was a Lenormand deck that I was using as well. I will be doing a walkthrough of this one because it's going to be available to print on demand from Make Playing Cards this month, I believe, at least somewhere between Valentine's and the end of February, I think. And it's the Brown Witch Lenny by Auntie Kay, Krista. She very kindly sent me an advance copy to have a play around with, and I'm just fallen in love with it. It's not in order because it's I've been working with it, but I will obviously want to do a walkthrough. I'll pop it all back in order and we'll have a look at it, and I'll talk a bit about why this deck is so good. Apart from the fact that it's all witchy, hello, look at this tower card. The readings from this deck, it's really like, well, Lenormand is very sort of, I find very sort of straightforward and to the point anyway, but I just really like the vibe of this deck. Is that the right word? The vibe. Is that what the kids are saying? I like their vibe. So yeah, so those were the three main decks that I used for the majority of January was these three, with the Chicoli at the beginning with the Literary Witches. So yeah, that was fun and interesting because last year I was often changing up my tarot deck week to week. I would have a different tarot and oracle deck combo each week, whereas the last 2 or 3 months I've been using like one tarot deck and one oracle deck for like at least an entire month. I've been really enjoying that, and obviously it means that I'm working with less decks generally day to day throughout the month if I'm using them for daily and weekly readings. But it does mean I build a slightly deeper connection to each deck, and I will still pull the odd random deck for like a quick reading or a quick or for studying or what have you, or for a play around. But I mean like for my daily readings that I have on, the deck that I have on my altar for the month. So yes, that's the decks that I worked with, and then going on to books, what I read. Well, this first book was one of my Christmas presents, again from Simon at the Hermit's Cave, and it is the Book of Spells, Blessings and Folk Magic. And this is by a nun called Carol Jakowski. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this book. She sounds like a lovely woman, and the very beginning of the book I was really sort of enjoying her vibe, but I have to be very aware that she is coming from a Catholic background, she's coming from not a background, a Catholic perspective, not just background, she is a Catholic nun, but so there's a lot of I've written a lot of notes, put it this way. Like the intro, there's no notes. I'm like, excellent, 10 out of 10, no notes, literally. And then we start getting into her explaining magic, and I'm like having some thoughts about stuff, Ooh, not once, some for a few. So yeah, there's some stuff that I have issues with. So it's a real mixed bag for me. Overall, I quite enjoy just hearing from a different perspective. There's lots of thoughts about this couple of pages. And then we get into the spells and prayers bit, the chants, the enchantments, what have you. And you know, there's obviously prayers, literal prayers like Catholic prayers. There's some Wiccan spell work. There's a little mix. But the thing is, right, she's like, this is her personal spell book or prayer book, and she's sharing it so you can utilize it. But it does give me a little bit 1990s, early noughties eclectic witch vibes, where, you know, just grabbing from any kind of system and not really recognizing whether that is okay to do. So she's got like Jewish prayers and things in here as well. She's got a Acta Lakota Great Spirit prayer. So obviously we've got like Native American prayer in here. I don't know how appropriate it is for me as a white British woman to be utilizing, you know, prayers of the Acta Lakota tribe, you know. So I don't know. You know, there's some fairly innocuous stuff in here as well. It's a mixed bag. Use your discretion. You know, I'm never going to agree 100% with pretty much any book that I read, and that's fine. But I also think it was important for me to read something from a slightly different perspective. But yeah, I'm glad that I read it. So there's that. I then finally got around to finishing Orion Foxwood's The Flame in the Cauldron. I got this book maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I don't know how far into it, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I was kind of disappointed, and I found it very like, oh, we are the witch blood and we're here to like save the world and we're like so cool and shit. And I was like, okay, all right, calm down. Like, it was very much like we're the special people, as in like people with witch blood. I don't know, there's a slight, you know, to that. But anyway, I was like, let's give this another go, because when I read this I was still very much in an atheistic mindset, and then my mindset has I've had a real paradigm shift, which I spoke about towards the beginning of last year, which is a much more sort of animistic pantheistic kind of view of the world. And so I was like, let's give it another go, because I've sort of, my mindset has shifted. And it did still rankle me a little bit, the like witch blood stuff and the how witches are here to like save the planet type stuff. But the bit that I hadn't read into and was glad, I was like, oh, there is this stuff, is like there's actual practices, actual traditional witchcraft practices, described, explained, laid out here for you to try out, practice, add to your practice, which I actually really enjoyed. There's some really interesting stuff in here, and so, you know, again, there's some notes, there's things I didn't agree with, things I really did agree with. Overall, I found once we got to the actual practices and talking about treading the mill of magic and such, I actually found that, what was it, from chapter 3, I actually found that more useful and more interesting than all the stuff that came before it. But your mileage may vary depending on what you were expecting from such a book. So yes, I started it all from the beginning. I took it on holiday to Scotland and got part way through, and then it was like, I struggled to read once I got back from Scotland, and I only just started picking this up again at the beginning of January. And then another book that I just sort of been dipping in and out of is Amy Blackthorne's Botanical Magic, and it's sort of just going through the various essential oils and just reading their profiles, and then putting a little pencil tick in the corner once I have read it, just as a little thing. If I get up in the morning, so what I'll do is I usually have several books on the go. I'll have fiction for the evenings and non-fiction for the mornings, and I'll have like a little stack like this in the morning, and sometimes I will read a little bit from each book, or I will just read like a chunk from one book. It depends how much time I have, it depends how much energy I have, how much like I feel like I can concentrate. Sometimes I don't have much energy or time, and so just reading a single profile about one of the plants in here, or one of the oils in here, is something, right? I've read something today and got some information in my brain. So there's that. And also, finally, for the fiction that I read in January, I started this book, I think last August, and it's such a chunky monkey, and because I read at night in bed, I tend to fall asleep quite quickly when I read, can't fall asleep for shit if I'm just laying in bed, even if I'm laying in bed listening to a podcast. Read though, a few pages in and I'm out like a fucking light. So and it's the Diogenes Club. It's by Mr. Kim Newman Esquire, and it is about a club called the Diogenes Club, and it follows this particular investigator. It's all like paranormal, strange, high strangeness, weird stuff, cases. It's kind of like Austin Powers meets the X-Files, maybe, I don't know. And it was hit and miss for me. I enjoyed the stories. I thought they were fun. I enjoyed the characters. I thought they were interesting. But there was some stuff that rankled me that hasn't. Most of this was written through the 90s into the early noughties, or maybe up to 2008, 2009. This was published in 2015. There's some stuff that is like. Some of the stories, a lot of the stories are set in the like 60s and 70s. So there's always going to be an issue with like certain things, languages that were used when you're depicting certain kinds of people. So there's the first story is about like skinheads, who were like racist groups in the like 70s, and so there's a certain like language and slurs that they use that is used in the book, just making you aware if you choose to pick up this book. And it's said as much. There's like a whole glossary at the back for non-English based, non-British readers to understand what the slang and what all the different words or who the people refer to, real life people refer to, or events referred to in the book. So there will be certain slurs, old school slurs, as it were. Old school, that's probably the wrong term to use. Slurs that words we don't use anymore, that were used quite liberally through the 60s, 70s and 80s. But then there's also like some of the like portrayal of the women in this book are a bit like, you can tell a man wrote it, like, as in like, I mean a man that's an older man, like a boomer. Okay, boomer. But for the most part, I mostly enjoyed it, but there's some caveats. Like, it didn't completely ruin the book for me. I was just like, okay, like, okay, my guy. So yeah, those were the books that I read. Decks that I will be working in February, or have been working with so far. So I bought with some of my combined Christmas and birthday money, Zeke's Arcana. I did do a walkthrough of this last weekend. I'll see if I can remember to link it down below, but you know where to find it. It's on my channel. You're on it right now. Oh my god, this deck. I've been reading with it all week. I did my week ahead reading. I've been doing this thing where I do a week ahead reading to sort of get an overview, and then I've been pulling a card every day, Monday through Friday, at the weekends if I feel like it, but mostly Monday through Friday, and then just pulling a single card and keeping that card on my desk for the day. And then what I'm doing is I'm adding that card to the rest of the reading, and then at the end of the week I'm sort of looking at it and taking it all in one go. So it's like a deck, a reading that sort of builds on itself, right? But this deck, oh my god, I'm really glad I got it. I'm really glad that I got it, because this one is going to be going out of print. The creator, once they're sold, they're sold. They're not going to be selling any more decks or products. But yeah, the ones are probably my least favourite suit, just because they seem the most sparse. I still like them. They're just they don't seem to gel as well with the rest of the pit suits. Oh, I love this one. So lots of really strange and wonderful characters in here. And as someone did point out, rightfully so, and it was something that did bug me when I first saw the final walkthroughs of this deck, when it was finally, the Kickstarters were shipping back in like a year or two ago, I can't remember when it was, a couple of years ago, that even though it is a fantasy deck, we don't actually see any real, I mean, I was gonna say we don't see any body diversity. I mean, we've got someone here with 4 arms. It's a fantasy deck, but what there's only slim and sort of conventionally beautiful people in this. You don't really see any larger bodies in it, which is a shame, given it's a fantasy deck. And the person's comment again, which is rightfully so, I would say, is that why does fantasy always equal slim and conventionally pretty? But that would be that, and maybe the fact that someone very kindly pointed out that to be careful riffle shuffling this. It has like a foil holographic thing, but can you see there's a line going back here? And someone said that they learnt the hard way that if you do riffle shuffle, the cards can literally bend in half at this point. and they actually ended up buying another copy. And I was like, whoa, so that riffle shuffling that I did of this deck in the walkthrough is the only riffle shuffling I've done with this deck and will do with this deck. It's overhand all the way from here, baby, overhand all the way. So I was using this, working with this, and I'm planning to continue to work with this at least next week and see how I feel for the rest of the month. But I was reading with it. I pulled the card for my week ahead reading from the Actor Sparman podcast Oracle, which is really fun. So you can see why these two would work. We've got the pink, and it's nice because this is like really colourful, and then this is a black and white, so it sort of balances out, but it still has like weird characters, and it's got the hint of the pink, and this deck has obviously a bit of the Zeke's Arcana has a lot of pink in it. And then I was pulling a Therapets every day as well, and you can see why the Therapets would work with it as well, right? So it's been a fun, dropping them, a fun combo. I mean, these, like, even the cards that I'm pulling, they just somehow, like, they're actually working together. Let's pull another one. There's this one. We've got the Two of Cups, and what's coming up here? Oh, wrong way around. Leg. So yeah, and then you can see like how it they kind of all have a thing. They're contemporary. There's nothing old school about them. So I've been reading with these, and I'm going to do the same next week. Really enjoyed that. Lots of fun. So yeah, that's the. I don't have any other. I haven't pulled out any other decks to like work with tarot wise for February. I'm just going to see how I go with this one. But I was like, what if I want to read Lenormand? I'm going to switch to a different deck that will fit with the aesthetic, and I decided to pull Logan at Lark and Legends Lilac Lenormand, which I think because I feel like, I don't know, they kind of have a vibe that works together, because there's this, like, you know, we've got trolls, and then there's a bit of sort of the magical girl vibe with the wands and things in this deck, and so it made me think of Logan's this deck, because there's lots of gaming stuff and magical girl, like Sailor Moon stuff going, references in this as well. I mean, look, right? Totally works. So what have we got? We've got Child, the blue of the Game Boy pulls in the blue of this card. Like, it totally works. I've got the player card, so let's pull a magical girl, and it just works. Let's see if we can get a wands card. Here we go. Like, totally works. So this will be the Lenny that I'll be using with the Zeke's Arcana. I love this deck as well. This and like the Brown Witch Lenny are like my two like go-to Lennys at the moment. And sometimes the Shadowland and Norman, but that one's bigger, so, and very glossy. So, but yeah, these two, and it's nice because they're both indie. Cool. Okay, so those are the decks for February. And then what else I was loving in February is that I got I already had this book because I got it in a pack of 2, and I was using the green one for my Year in the Wildwood, which I only did half of last year, and I've decided I'm going to pick it up in the summer where I left off last year, and I'm going to continue on with it then. I just don't want to have to think about it until then. So I used the dark green one for the Wildwood project, because that makes sense, right? Because it's green and wildwoody. I had the black one, it came just two colours, and I just was keeping this aside, and I was like, I'm going to use this as my new tarot journal. So I've already stuck a couple of stickers on it. I think I might be getting some stickers for Valentine's Day from my spouse. We're just going to do silly little presents for Valentine's Day this year, and we've got some pizza donuts turning up as well that they've ordered, which I'm very excited about. They are sweet donuts that look like pizzas, slices basically. Like from Donut Time if you're interested. And yeah, so this is, and I'm already loving this. I've already done my year ahead spread in here. I posted about that earlier this week. Again, I'll try to remember to post the video if you want to see how I do a solar return spread, which you could use as a year ahead spread, but I prefer to do it from my birthday to my birthday, and I really don't enjoy that like 12 cards, one for each month thing. I feel like it doesn't provide any context. I feel like it's just it feels very flat to me, and I've tried using it for a number of years and did work with it for a number of years, but it just wasn't doing anything for me anymore, or even I don't know if it really did do that much for me in the first place. So I made my own. So if you want to see a nice meaty juicy year ahead / solar return spread that uses multiple decks and systems, because why not? Fuck me, can I get this in screen? Jesus Louises. It's just fucking can't be bothered. What am I doing? I can't see what I'm doing, and I can't seem to get it in the screen. Anyway, but I've been really enjoying it already, so that's good. What else? Let's pop these out of the way. Okay, and then books that I'm reading, or that I'm hoping to read for February. One of the other books that I got for Christmas from Simon at the Hermit's Cave was Breeding Sweet Grass. Okay, by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This has been on my wish list / to read list since like probably at least 5 years. No, when did it come out? 2020. So since it came out, at least, because I know it was published by someone else I think before then. I think it's going to be a good read. I've only heard good things about it. The other book that I'm planning to read this month is Cartomancy and Folk Witchcraft. I got this a year ago and keep meaning to read it, but haven't. I don't know if I will read it this month, because I am reading a lot more with like Smith-Waite type decks, and this is probably going to pull my brain in a pip way again, but maybe I need that. Maybe I need to get back to the pips, so we'll see. And then last night in bed I started reading Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall. I finally got around to watching the entire series in its totality, the BBC adaptation last August and September I believe it was, and I really enjoyed it. I think Mark Rylance as Thomas Cromwell is incredibly compelling, very compelling performance. And then when I stopped off, we stayed with my in-laws on the way to and from Scotland, because it's a long drive, and my father-in-law has a bunch of, he loaded me up with a load of books, a bunch of Hilary Mantels and some other stuff. I've got a stack downstairs, so I've started this one, and so far so good, enjoying it. So that was the books for this month, for February. And then I've been really enjoying having creative play. I think it's been really important for me to have a play. So I've been making some little anxiety friends, little monsters. The colour isn't really showing up very well on here. They're like teal, purple and lilac. I've been saying it for years. I know I've been saying it for years, but I've been working on some ideas for like machine sewn pouches. I'm still not happy with what I'm coming up. I'm just playing, and I don't know if it will become a thing, but I'm trying to make it become a thing, because I've been saying for years I'm going to sort that out. I've got some pouches because I've got a shop drop, not this Sunday today, but next Sunday the 11th. It'll be the 11th of February. I'll be like updating my shop with some other stuff. So I've got these like stick on / sew on patches. They've got iron on bits, but you know, so I've got 3 different little hands, so those are going to be coming. And then I've also been playing around. Oh my god, these things have been a labour of love, let me tell you. A couple of different I've already shown this one in the live draw I did for my competition, my channelversary giveaway, and I did say that I didn't know if I was going to put it in the shop because it's quite large, and I don't know if it's a bit too big for an A5 book, but what I've realised is if you have an A5 notebook or sketchbook that has a 1.5 to sort of 2-inch spine, like a chunky boy, like for example I have this journal here which is really chunky. Like if you've got a really chunky monkey, then this is going to be the one for you. If you have like more of a standard size notebook like this, then this kind of one is going to be for you. And this is like, you can't really see, but it's got this metallic iridescence that looks like an oil slick, because I've blended a bunch of metallic and iridescent paints and like embroidered, stenciled and also appliqued stars onto them. They have the little charms. They've been in like machine embroidered. So yeah, these will be coming to my shop. I don't know what I'm going to do with regards to pricing, because a lot of work went into each of those, like a lot of work, as in they took me a while. And then the aforementioned material, like textile box, I cut a load of squares and embroidered them, painted them and embroidered them canvas. I've started decorating the panels, and I think what I'm going to do is I made 6 of them in 3 different colours. I've got blue, purple, 2 purple, and then 2 pink. Pinky purple. It looks more purple on the screen, but it's more pinky in real life. I'm gonna make a little fabric box. I think that's what they're gonna become, because there's 6 of them, right? 6 squares. That makes sense. So we will see. But this is just a slow project to work in times where I'm feeling frustrated or like and I just need something to do. So I've been enjoying doing that. I've also got some other little things I'm playing with, so little sneaky peeks. And so yeah, what else? We're at 54, we're about to go to 54 minutes, so I'm not going to go into any other faves this month just because it's a lot already to contend with. And let's be honest, I think most of you are here for like the decks and the books and the witchy bits and stuff, so I can go make myself some lunch now because my tummy is grumbling, let me tell you. I could really hear it on the playback when I was editing the video last week. I could really hear my tummy at the beginning of the video. It was so loud. I was like, oh, that's so bad. Note to self, eat a snack before filming a video. I just realised I didn't once look at my damn notes. I've probably missed. Have I missed stuff off? No, I remembered all the decks. I've remembered the books. Yeah, I've got like, you know, music, films, misc, meh. So I'm just gonna leave all that because this is getting really long. So yes, anyway, back to normal, regular viewing next month. It should be, because there won't be no birthday stuff to show this time round. Next time round, not this time round. There was. Oh, I need to go eat something. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Let me know what were your faves for January. Which deck combos did you really enjoy? What did you read and would you recommend it? Yeah, let me know. I'm always interested to know what you think in the comments. And yeah, I hope wherever you are safe and well. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Ciao.